G'day and welcome to episode 2 of Warrior Exploration with Benjamin John. So g'day guys, I told you we're going to check in today and I'll tell you a little bit about myself and who I am and why you should even listen to me. Why would you listen to me? First and foremost, I'm going to be straight up. I'm going to say how it is for me. I'm going to say what I think and how I think it. I'm going to be as authentic as possible. And honestly, I'm going to cut the bullshit. I'm going to cut the fluffy kittens and all the other great stuff that's out there in relation to some of this self-development, exploration, even the business stuff. You know, there's a lot of this. I'm just going to say it how it is. There's a lot of this fluffy kind of kitten or magical exploration or magical ways of doing things. Well, the reality is it's all bullshit from my perspective, from my awareness, right? Everything that I will be telling you and doing within my explorations within this show will be as real and also authentic as I can be in that moment. And that's what it's going to be. So who am I? Who's Benjamin John? And why would you even want to listen to me? Well, me, Benjamin John. The story is I've pretty much spent the last 20 years exploring who I am. And it's an interesting question. And it's one that I've actually come to a decision. And it's one that I've actually come to some idea and explanation for myself of who I am. Who I am is a dedicated, hardworking, open-minded individual that's willing to explore, try and understand different perspectives, opportunities that are out there for me. It's taken me 18 years to get to where I am today. I haven't always been this way. Growing up, definitely I was that way. Probably a little bit more exploring and having a little bit more fun, which is something that I'm bringing into my life more and more. But basically, I'm an individual that has grown up in family environments of struggle, family environments of alcohol being a key part of my surroundings. And I've also grown up with what some would see as a difficult childhood in relation to relationships. Beyond that, I'm also an individual that's really looked up at the stars, wondered, willing to discover, question, and see what's out there. That led me to a life that was an interesting one. You know, it wasn't always, I would say, on the right side of the law in relation to, you know, dabbling with recreational drugs. Alcohol was a huge one, being reckless at times. You know, that was the type of lifestyle I was living before I joined the army. I came to an understanding with early, you know, around the 18-year mark, 18 years of age, where it really came to a point in my life where I thought, you know what, I need to do something, because if I don't, I'm going to either be in jail, potentially dead, or not living a life that was really worthwhile in my eyes. So I decided to join the army. You know, there was a lot of stuff that went on before and after lot of synchronicities or whatever you want to call it, a lot of things that led me down a path of seeing things and opportunities that I took because they were put in front of me, or I was able to be open-minded enough to actually try and explore some different opportunities. But this led me to the Army. I joined the Army at 18 years of age. I joined the infantry. I was told from an early age that educationally, I wasn't a high achiever. Let's put it that way, right? And when I joined the Army, I was kind of told the same thing. Like my marks were okay, but they weren't they weren't great, right? So military was what the Army and the infantry was what I chose out of the options I had to join. Okay. It was kind of where I wanted to go anyway, to be honest with you. And that's really why I was joining. I joined the Army, a very naive 18-year-old boy who thought that he knew it all. And I joined the Army with this fantasy of wanting to help people. That was why I joined. I really wanted to help people. Anyway, through my training and everything else, I picked up some really great skills. I picked up great skills in relation to discipline, picked up resilience. I picked up a lot of big key skills as well. Through my infantry, after my infantry training, I was given the opportunity to deploy straight to 4AR Commando from Singleton, which is basically where the infantry is trained, right? Singleton Barracks. So I was given the opportunity at the time in, I believe it was 2000. Yeah, 2000 to go to 4AR Commando due to the fact that they were deploying overseas to go to East Timor, and they needed basically bodies. They needed dogs' bodies, they needed people to fill the spot so they could go overseas. So anyway, I took up this opportunity, naively, not really understanding it. I look back at some of my history and the things that when I first signed up, and one of the things I actually said is I did want to join the commando unit. And at the time, honestly, I didn't even know whether there was one. Didn't even know if Australia had a commando unit, to be completely honest with you. Anyway, I had this opportunity. I took it by both hands, and I joined 4AR Commando. Quite early in 2001, we did basically pre-deployment training for East Timor, and it was just a ramped up training throughout that whole process, right? Anyway, where I'm going with this story is that the whole way through, I've always been a person that's been able to, even though I haven't been able to see it a lot of the time, really take opportunity, really explore what's out there, and kind of think outside the box in relation to what it is I can and can't do. Okay. Now, this training within the Army, within the commando unit, I actually did commando training and completed 90% of that training up until the point that my mental health deteriorated. And in 2004, and I realized that I had to either get out of the Army, or, if I'm completely honest, where my mind was at the time really wasn't healthy for me or those I was around. And the best option was to get out for myself and for my now wife and my now family. Though during that time, I was able to learn a lot of skills. I was able to see the world in different ways that a lot of people don't get to experience. I was able to push myself to boundaries and through boundaries and past boundaries that I may not have been able to do else in any other environment, right? I was able to see certain parts of myself, my resilience, my dedication, my determination, my discipline, and quite frankly, my warrior within, and how deep that fire really goes. So I'm thankful for that. Beyond that, though, my mental health did deteriorate after basically getting back from East Timor. There was a lot of stuff that happened. a lot of destructive stuff for myself personally and those around me, and really got to a point where what was happening within the unit for my own experience wasn't really healthy for me. So I decided to get out, and I decided to move on from that experience. After getting out, shit really got real and really went downhill quite quickly. After I removed myself from the environment of the army, I really quickly realized that I wasn't okay. And I got to a situation basically where I didn't want to be here, right? I didn't want to be here in this world. Now, this conversation, I wouldn't know about this conversation I'm having with you guys now, what I'm actually talking to you guys about now. I wouldn't have been able to do this probably even 2 years ago, right? So where I got to that point of not wanting to even be here, I actually had a wife. I had 2 children. And thankfully I had those things, because I think really if it wasn't for those things, I wouldn't be here. Now, this isn't a sad sap story. This isn't, oh, woe me, oh, poor Benjamin, blah, blah, blah. But what this is to show you where I've come from to where I am today. Now, can I say I have perfection in my life? Well, no, because to be honest with you, what the fuck is perfection, you know? What is that? What is perfection? Well, I don't know. That's the honest truth. But I am certainly in a much better place than I was back then. Exponentially, to the point that I can even have this conversation. What I've done in that time from 2003 to, well, from East Timor really, when I got back in 2001 to now in 2021, is really dedicated my life to exploring beyond what I knew in the now, beyond what I knew to be true. And I'm really not accepting a lot of the stuff that I was told, this is how it is, this is the way it's going to be, and you need to conform. This exploration has led me to having many mentors, doing a lot of research, doing a master's, educating myself, reading a lot of books, doing all this stuff that I was told for many years through my education that I probably wouldn't even be able to achieve, because, you're just one of those kids, Benjamin, that this education probably isn't for you. Have you heard that before? Have any of you heard that? Well, here I am today telling you what a load of crap that was, and the more and more I started realizing that the experiences in my life, the stuff that I was told, the stuff that I really hung on to as truth, as a belief, the more I started pushing my own boundaries and barriers from this stuff, the more I really started to see for myself that most of it's bullshit. I was hanging on to stuff from my past, from my perceptions and beliefs that didn't fit for who I am, didn't fit for where I was, and certainly didn't fit for where I wanted to be. So what I did, I went on a journey. Oh, journey, Benjamin. We hear this word all the time. Well, I'm sorry, guys. That's what it was, and that's what it's going to be, and that's what it's been for me, and it's going to be in the future, is journeying through an exploration of trying to find as much as that stuff I don't know as possible. Then being able to discern for myself what it is I actually want to create within my own life and how to create that. And then also being what it is that I've created or wanting to create, and being that in my life. And what does that mean to be that in my life for me personally? And this has led me to where I am today, to start exploring, opening myself up to really sharing my own experience and sharing what I've done. Because some would say, well, why should we listen to you, Benjamin? You're not successful. You don't have $1 million business. You're not that type of, you don't even seem like the type of bloke that I really want to, learn from. Well, that's fine. Great. You're discerning for yourself. But what I will say is my years of dedicating to myself, of being able to push my own boundaries of my own beliefs and perceptions of what I created within my own life, has allowed me to have a great understanding of who I am, what I want to be, and where I want to go. If I can someone like myself can come from that real darkness of darkness to a place where I am today of being in containers with 6-7 figure entrepreneurs, really understanding and realizing who I am as an entrepreneur and what I am as an entrepreneur. My whole life I've been an entrepreneur. People say, well, what do you mean? How does that look? Well, myself being an entrepreneur within my own life, I've created opportunity for myself. I haven't just accepted this is how it is and this is the way it's going to be. I haven't accepted that's it. That's it for me. I create opportunity. I look at options. I look what I can do to better my experience. I look at what I can do to explore opportunities, to broaden my horizon, to be successful where I am today. Now, that success, what's that success look like for me? It looks like me being able to be in the property that I've wanted to be in for so many years, having the acreage that I would like, having the house pretty much of my dreams, having the lifestyle that's allowed me to be able to explore beyond anything I've ever been able to do before, having the freedom, having the choices to be able to do what it is I do today, to be able to do what it is moving forward. I'm the type of person who's self-educated quite recently over the last, well, it's 18 years or more beyond that, but really within the last 5 to 6 years, I'd say I've really started knuckling down for my own self-development first and foremost, exploring things from, the Dalai Lama to the badass military guys that are out there doing this type of self-development work, to 6-7 figure entrepreneurs that are teaching the way of business, to the spiritual stuff, to the science, and Dr. Bruce Lipton's and the Joe Dispenzas and doctors and all these type of environments. I've explored it all, even dabbled in understanding some religions and looking into religion and spiritual beliefs and whatever. I'm trying to get my own understanding and foundations of what it is that I see this world to be for me. Now, really, all this knowledge, all this understanding is amazing. And take this how you want to take it. But actually a mentor and coach that in a container that I've been in said this, and I thought it was quite amusing. We can also, the great thing about exploration, it is amazing, and it gives us all this opportunity to have this knowledge, right? And to gain this knowledge and this awareness and understanding. But the funny thing is, you could also go on an exploration of mental ejaculation, where you're just getting all this information and it's bringing it in from everywhere, and it's all coming into you, and you're understanding bits and pieces, taking it as what you want and fully filling it up, and then boom, like that's it. I've got there's all this information. I've got to do something with it. Well, there's the thing, right? There's the key thing. You can explore and do all that sort of, and that's fine if that's what you want to do and that's what you want to be. There's also that part of creating what it is that you've now come to be aware of, creating that within your life, within your business, within who you are in a development sense, or just who you are as a being, right? Just who you want to be as a person. But it's really to do all that, have all that knowledge and to have all that awareness and understanding without actually creating what it is you want within your life and being the life and a person and who you want to be, then what's it all for? And that's what I came to understand for myself. What is all this for if I'm not going to really implement some of the stuff I'm learning? If I'm not going to implement the stuff that I've been taught, the stuff that I've heard, the stuff that I've seen, the stuff that's resonated for me, the stuff that's lit my warrior and my fire within. If I'm not going to implement some of this stuff, if I'm not going to create my life in a way that's allowing me to be what it is I want to be, then for me, it came to a point of what's it all for? Knowledge is great. Knowledge is amazing. And it allows us to have an experience and even change some beliefs, some old frameworks, some old habits. But the creating and the being is what allows us to have the life we want to have. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I've done. That's what I am doing. And that's what I've done. My diagnosis or diagnoses, it's a decent list. It's a decent list, ranging from PTSD, right down to, issues with them back and everything from the army. But what this type of lifestyle of exploration has achieved for me is being able to come to a point in my life where I can do this. I can talk about some of the stuff that I've experienced and gone through. I was told by the medical profession from numerous doctors and psychiatrists that PTSD, even some of my colleagues and people who was in my environments and other stuff we'll go into, right, that were telling me that PTSD, it's a brain scar, it's an injury, right? It's not something that you can, it's a scarring. It's not something you can actually heal from. Well, there may be some truth to that. Though what I've actually gone through and what I've actually been able to achieve is a life that I'm able to live to the best of my quality and being. I've been able to create a life that's allowed me to change some mindsets and perceptions around what I believe to be true, which has allowed me to be able to have a life that is not as affected in a way of not wanting to be here on this world, not wanting to be here on this earth. To me, that's huge. That's massive. Moving forward, my dream's a lot bigger. Reaching people to be able to support through my own awareness, through my own knowledge that I've gained over the years and years of a lifetime of understanding what it is to move from struggle to a life of happiness in some extent, in some to some degree, to a degree that is great for me and my family. And I actually don't want to put a limitation on that. I don't want to have a limitation on how that could be, how that is going to be, and what that is. being able to move from some old archetype structures of fight and flight, using some of our old survival mechanisms as a way of living and being, i.e. fight or flight being the amygdala, you know, that creating all the chemicals and from the hippocampus and all the stuff that's going on chemically with inside the brain, that really, that caveman like, you know, instinctual survival archaic way of being in fear, moving from that to be able to have more and more moments of conscious awareness, conscious way of being. This might sound a bit airy-fairy and a bit of that fluffy kitten stuff, but it's been my experience. Moving from so much in the head to allowing the heart, the vulnerability of allowing that heart to live from some of that place too. And understanding between the heart mind and gut. This has been huge for me. You know, we talk about gut instincts, we talk about feelings, we talk about, you know, people stepping on our grave because we feel like, oh, you know, there's something, or deja vu and all these other concepts that are out there. Well, funnily enough, science is really starting to explain some of these things, you know, starting to really come up with some theories, which is, to be honest, most of science is based on theories and theses and, you know, people's understandings of what it is that they're seeing and experiencing through science. And yes, it's educational. Yes, it's educational guessing. Yes, it's educational knowing. Yes, it's educational, you know, experiencing, exploring. But most things that I've come across will say that it's a theory to some degree, because it's not a definite, right? And I think with modern science, we're starting to really understand some of this stuff through things like epigenetics, quantum physics, quantum understandings, you know, and beyond, really starting to actually mesh some of these type of sciences together instead of them being external and separate fields, really starting to bring some of these theories and understandings together. And some of that ancient theories and ways of living that are out there, you know, through meditation and, you know, mystic schools, whatever they are, you know, and religion and all these other things of ancient yogis and the way of the Buddhists and all these type of things that are out there, really starting to mesh some of these more ancient beliefs with some of the new modern science and coming to an understanding of a holistic way of being. And that's what I'm really focusing on, my own holistic way of being. So that's my story in a nutshell. Where I'm moving forward is moving into a space of really being who it is that I am, and really being who it is that I can be without limitation. I'm not going to put limitation on it, but I am going to have clarity. I am going to have structure, and I am going to have discipline, because these are all things that I have had and do have and will have moving forward. So thanks for checking in. That's Benjamin John in a nutshell. I really look forward to the potential of exploring, having some wicked interviews moving forward, and a real understanding of, hey, what is exploration? What is truth? What is fact? And what if it's all bullshit? So here we are, Benjamin John, signing off. Thanks for being with me. Peace out. So here I am, Benjamin John, signing off. Remember, explore, create, and be. Be the warrior of exploration. Allow that fire to burn. Well, thank you for listening. If you found this episode valuable, please take the time to like, share, and subscribe. It really does make a difference. It helps others out there explore their warrior, create a life of choice by design, and be all that they wish to be. Remember, explore, create, and be.